my Kenvians, and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Doctor Who. Today, the episode I'm going to be watching is Demons of the Punjab, which, again, I have no idea if I'm actually pronouncing that, so I hope that they actually say the name in the episode. I'm sure they probably will, but yeah, it's not a word I'm familiar with, unfortunately. But, yeah, I feel like, given the pattern that we've experienced so far, that this episode might be one that takes us potentially to the past, maybe? I don't know. Only one way to find out, really. So yeah, let's watch the episode and discover Demons of the Punjab. Sorry if I seem a little bit out of sorts today. It's been a very long, stressful day, and I'm actually recording much later than I intended to. Anyway, let's go. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, speaking of which, while the intro is playing, apparently this is the first episode of the series that Chris Chibnall, or however you pronounce his last name, is not the writer of, or at least has partial writing credit for. It's like from here until the last episode of the series, Chibnall is not a writer. So I'm interested to see how different the story might be. Written by Vinay Patel.
These are some letters your father wrote to me when he was away. Don't read the filthy bits. It's a risk.
Yeah, exactly.
I have apologised for the Death Eye Turtle Army. Profusely.
Death Eye Turtle Army?
Looks very northern Punjab. But we agree. Okay, get in.
What?
Umbreen's gonna kill me.
Is that Yas's grandfather? Not the old man, but the guy driving the cart. Oh, hello.
It's gone. Alpha, we'll deal with this. Come on. He's saying. Hello.
Saying, look at the thing that you can see.
Seems like a transmat doorway.
Nice. That was cool.
Yeah.
Just
Taking a look at that.
Uh-oh.
You should have thought about that.
Hi.
desecrated the hive.
Tina, a push. I can't be sure.
Tonight we celebrate, and we marry first thing, and then if we have to fight them, we will. Come on.
I like her. I like her a lot.
Still not into no Yaz. We can't have a universe with no Yaz. Now,
That's right. We all love Yaz. Especially the Doctor.
tell us more.
Are they a couple?
Have to go on a look. I need oil, water, tree bark, a saucepan, 9 containers, an old newspaper, a touch of box spit, a chicken poo, and a biscuit.
Bagsy, not chicken poo. Why a biscuit?
I love biscuits.
Okay.
Never did this when I was a man. No references to body.
Here. India's not her home now. India's a home.
He looks like Harry Potter.
We didn't change when a line was drawn.
I mean, is it just me, or does he look like Harry Potter?
The regular transfer locks!
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Us forever. Our moment in time.
I like that. A moment inside.
Is that what you used to shoot?
a terrible design. It was such a good wedding at least.
I love you, Nanny.
And I love you too, Betty.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh! It's a vocalized version of the... Huh. Oh. Okay, so yeah, just cut in while the beautiful song is playing. Yeah, thanks. Oh, man. So, yeah, a little bit of mix of allergies and some emotion there, to say the least. I'm honestly not sure how long the YouTube cut of the reaction of this is going to be, because I don't think I said much. Like, the story of this one just really pulled me in. Is like the partition of India and Pakistan. That's something that I've heard about in history classes. It's something that I've heard about in general in the past, but like this, I think this was the first bit of media I've watched that really touched on it to any great extent. So yeah, this was a really emotional episode, I feel. Just because like with the last historical, Rosa, I mean, that was something like the history surrounding it. I'm pretty well... it's something that I've heard of for a large portion of my life. This is something that again, while I've known of it, I didn't know all the information. Like, I didn't know that millions were killed during the partition. That, like, all the gangs and rioting led to all those deaths. And for a character, Prem, who, I mean, well, yes, I did guess that he's going to be, the one that, Umbreen. I keep wanting to say Umbridge for some reason. But, Umbreen married, I didn't expect to grow attached to him as quickly as I did, but he was a really good character. He was very well acted. The man who played him did a really good job playing Prem, and yeah, just that last moment there with his brother and those men who, I guess, were laying claim to the land. That was hard. That was hard to see. And it's something that reflecting on elements of history that I am more familiar with. Hello, why are you chewing my pin? Say hi, Bella. Put me down. Anyway, yeah, going back to elements of history that I am more familiar with, the Civil War here in the U.S., they talk about how it was a war that divided families, that pitted brother against brother. And I mean, there have been just tons, so many movies, so many shows that have depicted that to some degree. And the way they depicted this here, I feel like it hits in a way even harder than what happens in a lot of those Civil War movies and shows, because, you know, they have a lot of things to pull from in those movies. It's like slavery in the U.S. And different elements that divided the North and the South. And this one, what took place in 1947, being divided because of beliefs, the Muslims and the Hindus. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that was something that happened back then. I know that religions have fought back and forth. I mean, to be honest, I figured it was usually Christianity against other religions and often against itself, but yeah, this episode really showed me an element of how the other religions and racism just really, how it can divide people so much. Bye, Bella. And it's a message that really, it's something that can really apply to the world we live in now. Like, that occurred, so it was 1947, that's 61 years ago, possibly more. Yeah, 77 years ago. Yeah. Or no, wait, 71 years ago. 71 years ago. And the fact that something like that, in a lot of the ways people interact and talk with each other these days, in person, on TV, on social media, it's just, there's a lot about this series that is really hitting me hard. Like, some of the messages that it's putting across are just very well done. Very well done. And this episode, I didn't write down the name of the person who wrote it. I saw it at the beginning of the episode. They did an excellent job. Like, this episode taught me a lot. It's like, and we didn't even get a lot of, like, beyond the partition and what was going on. It's not like we got a huge information dump of what all was occurring. It's like people that are familiar with it, that have had a lot of information on that in their history classes. It's like they probably got more from this than I did, or maybe with the simple fact that it was one of the few media exposures I've had to this event. Maybe in a way I got more out of it than anything. I don't know. But this was a really powerful episode. And I know I haven't even touched on any of the things I wrote down so far, but it gives me chills thinking about how things like that have happened in the past, continue to happen to this day. Before I get too lost in thought, because I don't know, I feel myself welling up emotionally right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit on some of the things I wrote down, just so this isn't, the end review portion of this isn't just me, like, trying to come up with or reflect on my own thoughts as we go along, because that would probably be a little bit of a boring video. But some of my favorite parts of this episode, Nani, or Umbreen, Yaz's grandmother, both the present day version and her when she was younger. I like her a lot. Like, it's like I do hope that we get to see a little bit more of her. Just like I mean, we did get to see a bit more of Yaz's family to a degree in this episode. But like, Umbreen is someone that I hope we get to see a little bit more of through this series. Just because I would love to get to know, I don't know, just a little bit more about her as a character. Maybe see her interact with the Doctor. Maybe even have some recollection of the Doctor. Who knows? But yeah, both that and then her as a young woman, the woman that played her and the way the character comes across, her personality, she's so strong, she's so loving and caring, and I don't know, in a different time, I feel like I see where Yaz gets her, is feistiness the right word? Gets her the strong elements of her personality. I feel like they come from her grandmother. I really do feel, and I mean, obviously that's, through the writing, that's probably planned and all that, but to me, there are clear reasons why Umbreen calls her favorite granddaughter, which, just to comment real quick, I mean, to a degree, I'm sure parents and grandparents have their favorites, but that's not something you vocalize. That's not something you just come out and say when your other grandchildren are around. That just doesn't seem cool, man. Again, that's part of the personality of saying what's on her mind, which Yaz definitely does. Again, that's an element of her personality I really like. But it just, I don't know, that's just, both in, fictional and in real life, it's not cool, man. But, moving on from there, another thing that I really liked, and I guess it had to do with those, the transmat locators or whatever they were called. But I wrote it down as being Doctor Distortion, because the way that we saw things at first was just like this strange black distortion in the Doctor's mind that was coming from the Thajarians. Thajarians? Whatever. But I thought that was really cool, and I mean, we've seen times in the past where the Doctor gets affected by things that regular people aren't affected by. This was one of those interesting occurrences, though, because it seemed like something that was affecting the mind primarily, and when they spoke, it's like they pushed their thoughts or words into their minds. It's like the Doctor heard it and everyone else heard it. So why didn't the others sort of get that distortion like the Doctor did? Again, it could just be from where she's an alien species and she has... Did I say species? Species. And she has a bit more sensitivity to certain things like that. I mean, they didn't really explain it, so that's what I can assume. But I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really interesting. And, yeah. Part of me kind of wishes that maybe it happened a little bit more, like maybe the Doctor experienced some of the distortion before they appeared for when Prem was going to die. Just for a bit of consistency, but I don't know. Overall, I like the way that was handled. It's just like almost seems like they completely forgot it near the end of the episode. My next favorite part, and it's something I've kind of talked about already, but it's just the whole element of the divide, the partition, that takes place in 1947 in India, where they establish new borders and part of India becomes Pakistan, and just the apparent overwhelming racism that pushed so many people apart. It's, again, it's something that I wish I knew more about before coming into this episode, but I don't know, at the same time, part of me appreciates being able to learn more about it from this episode, because in a way that sort of like, it allowed me to get more from it than perhaps I would have if I already knew a lot about that event. I don't know, maybe that's silly to say, but that's just kind of how I'm interpreting it at this point. Oh, okay. So the next favorite part, I do have a couple of quotes that I thought were just phenomenal. The first of which came from the Doctor when they were having the night before the wedding and they were doing the designs on their hands. And the Doctor says, "I never did this when I was a man." And I mean, of course, obviously, it's bizarre and weird to Umbreen and her mom, because it's like, what are you talking about? But yeah, just something about that quote is it's really struck me as funny, and I absolutely love it. And my next favorite quote came from Graham, and it's something that I believe its true meaning goes outside even just the specific words that are used, or perhaps a more traditional use of one of the words, and that is, all we can strive to be is good men. And again, in the like traditional sense of like using the word man or men to speak generally as in mankind, I really like that. I like how that works. And I mean, and the emotion behind it coming from Graham, because he knew that Prem was going to die. I thought that was a really well done scene, just Graham having to fight back his emotions in that sense, because he knew he was talking to a dead man. He knew he was talking to someone who, within a number of hours, maybe, would be dead. And the context and just overall sensibility of that quote, I really, really like. And then, the Thajarian hive, or well, not even necessarily the hive, just the Thajarians, originally being introduced to us as this assassin race, which every time that they're presented to us, they're standing over a dead body. So that, you know, the little misdirect they give us there of them being assassins, and it's like they're standing over their latest kill. It makes total sense. It really does. And yeah, even if they're not being aggressive, they look like demons. It's yeah, I mean, in most things that you've seen, to some degree, demons have had, like, you know, this weird spiky armor, and the faces, I mean, especially if you're coming at it from someone or an era where science fiction isn't exactly the biggest thing, what else would you think of them to be than demons? So yeah, it makes total sense. And then it's like the reveal that they have since become witnesses. And I feel, I don't know, some people may think it was just explained too quickly, or they relied too much on the exposition, but I think that they very succinctly explained why they changed their ways, why they became witnesses as opposed to the assassins from before. I feel like the explanation was really well done. Not overdone, not underdone. It was prompt to the point, and it gave us all the information we needed to understand why they changed. Even though it's like we're just now being introduced to this race. So yeah, I really like that. And then finally, I guess just to hit on some thoughts, or this episode as a whole, the name Demons of the Punjab, which I guess one thing that I'm not completely clear on, it might have been mentioned in the episode and I just missed it, but Punjab, is that essentially the area like around the border between Pakistan and India? I mean, that's really the only assumption I can make. But regardless, if that's the case, since I feel like the name has two meanings. It's referring to the Thajarians, who are mistaken to be these demons, these killer demons that bring bad luck, when in fact they're simply witnessing to those who, or for those who die alone. And then the more real life or true demons in this situation are the people who went through India, killing and destroying, because they were a different race, a different religion, because of different beliefs. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like, just from my interpretation, I feel like the second and perhaps true meaning of the title is referring to the people. Like the people in that regard. And the brother Manish, whatever, became one of those demons. He was the one who killed the holy man. He was the one who led that small gang of people there. So, and as such, he became one of the demons of the Punjab. Yeah. Before I move on, I didn't write this down, but one thing I definitely want to say, as for a track of the episode, there was a lot of really good music in this one. Quite a bit of it very subtle, not overly done, but the end theme, the way that they were doing the Doctor Who theme in that India style, it was really well done. Just that vocalization and the music, it was beautiful. And I honestly, I was annoyed when this preview started to pop up during that music because I wanted to hear more of it. I may look online to see if they have actually like a soundtrack version of it put on YouTube just so I can listen to it, because it was legitimately beautiful and I want to hear more of it. It was a really nice version of the song. But yeah, other than that, that's really all I have to say. I am very much excited to see what they're going to do next, what the next episode will bring, which, from the name, raises some questions for me. Before watching, I looked up the next episode's name, and it's simply Kerblam. Not Kablam, not Kaboom, Kerblam! Exclamation mark. And as far as weird names for episodes go, that's up there near the top of the list. But yeah, as for this episode as a whole, I am really looking forward to hearing what all of you have to say about this episode. Your thoughts about what I've had to say as well. Now, I know that particularly with the episode Rosa, there were some comments that most of them were respectful, or at the very least they weren't antagonistic. I'm hoping we can keep it that with this episode as well. I know it hits on a completely different part of the world and possibly an element of cultures and a location that I'm not at all familiar with, but all I do request is that everyone please keep the discussion civil. If things get out of hand, I will at the very least delete your comment, or if it's too out of line, I will ban you. I'm just gonna leave it out there. I welcome opposing viewpoints being discussed here on this channel, but I refuse to condone racism or anything like that. So again, please keep discussion respectful and let's have a good discussion of this show that so many of us love. A lot of people are having, up and down opinions of the show as it is clearly changing. I feel like it's going back to more of a, just from what I have seen of the original series, but of the classic Doctor Who episodes I have watched so far, these historicals have felt more along those lines, but with more intensity to a point, with more of an emotional punch to them. And I think it's really well done. Not everyone is going to agree with me, and I understand that. But again, in discussing these things, please keep it civil, and please just, if all you're going to do is write hateful, trolling comments, please do all of us a favor and just don't leave that comment. Because as I already said, I will, one, delete the comment, and if I find necessary, block you from the channel. Some of you might not think that fair, but that's just the way it's going to be. I want respectful, good discussions here. Feel free to make fun of the way that I kind of get absent-minded at times, though, because that's free game. But regardless, everyone, thank you so much for being here for this episode of Discovering Doctor Who. Wow, what an episode. My wife, Jill, just recently got caught up with the new episode, or the latest series of Doctor Who. I'm really looking forward to watching this one with her and seeing what she thinks. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say, even though I've said that a few times. But before I ramble on too much more, everyone, once more, thank you so much for being here. If you would like to see more episodes like this, and others for other series that I'm doing, whether it's Steven Universe. I'm going to be doing, hopefully, some more classic Doctor Who soon, as well as some other shows coming up, including Once Upon a Time. Those of you that are asking, yes, I am doing my best to get caught back up to where I was so that I can continue that series. But anyway, getting off track. If you would like to watch episodes like this and others ahead of time, anywhere from about a day to possibly a week or more ahead of time, for as little as $1 a month, you can sign up to become a patron for Papa Kenn Media over at patreon.com/Papa Kenn Media. And again, for as little as $1, you can get early access to the videos. I make them available as soon as I upload them to YouTube to the patrons. And I try my best to stagger out when they actually go live on YouTube. So if that interests you at all, feel free to check it out. There's a link in the description down below, and there will also be one at the end of this video. But I'll shut up now because I'm rambling and I'm, it's getting late. But anyway, everyone have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a great rest of the week. And I'll see you all next week for the next episode of Discovering Doctor Who for Kerblam, apparently. Later days.